What's up, guys? Gals, non-binary pals. Okay, some of y'all think I freaking scalped that from, that's not even the right term to use. Stole that from Thomas Sanders, I think. Whoever that, I'm just kidding. I know who he is. No, I didn't steal it from him. In fact, I thought I was original and woke and creative and like a pioneer and almost like an icon, a hero of a sorts. You know, for my marginalized viewers. I'm kidding. But no, I thought I was just being creative, but I guess two people can be creative, right? And if it makes any one of you feel any more welcome, then I'm glad to say it every once in a while. Because if I say too much, I'm just gonna feel like an unoriginal boob. Anyway, Daily Dose, Zach, subreddit, PettyRevenge. Yes. This story's called Sext Other Women? I'm keeping that PS5. Okay, folks, this is a long-winded one. So my ex moved in just before Brovit hit. He couldn't work, so I paid all the household bills alone, and was even helping to pay the rent arrears on his old place. Due to his mental health, we agreed not to label the relationship, but we're basically dating without calling it dating. So I thought exclusivity was a given. Nope. I found him sexting another woman in March. He got one more chance after we spoke about our expectations. Yes, okay. He agreed to exclusivity. I pre-ordered 2 PS2s in the summer. I found out in September that I was pregnant. Call it hormones? I straight up canceled my pre-order. Didn't even think about keeping it and selling it on. He said he would definitely find a way to pay for the one I pre-ordered for him. You know, despite not working. A few arguments ensue over his unwillingness to be a parent, and I'm not perfect, so I said some things that were out of line. There are then complications with my pregnancy, and I'm told I'm going to miscarry. During this incredibly heartbreaking and stressful time, guess what my man's doing? Sexting another woman! Legitimately, the morning I get my blood test results back, and he wakes up to me crying on the kitchen floor, he goes down to the pub for 3 hours and continues to make arrangements to share a hotel room with someone that's arranging a reunion at Halloween. Talking about how she's gonna sleep naked, how she's just about to jump in the shower and she should send pics. I found these texts because I went through his phone, so of course he calls me psycho and crazy. I tell him that it's obvious he wants an out, but he didn't know how to tell me. And on Wednesday, he agrees to leave at the weekend. He then mentions the new console and says that if I can't change the delivery address, I'll have to send it to him via courier and he'll find a way to get the cash to me. My final scan is the day after our talk, and I initially say I want my mom to come for moral support because he gave me none. He makes a massive deal about how it's his chance to say goodbye, which is the most interest he's ever shown, so I rearrange all my plans so he can come to the hospital too. He refuses out of spite. I don't know how to say that. Spite. I told him not to be there when I got home, and thankfully he wasn't. He picked the rest of his stuff up on the Saturday. He wasn't on the tenancy, just living there for free. I left the remainder of his belongings alone right until he threatened to burn my house down. The morning he came to collect it all, me and my bestie poured glitter in the pockets of his clothes and in his keyboard, then packed it all up nicely for him. Nothing was destroyed, but it was enough to be super inconvenient. We unfollowed and blocked each other on social media, but I noticed that he's using his private Insta account to lurk on my story, so I'm gonna make a big old post about my new console arriving today, and then I'm gonna block his private account too. Beautiful, genius, and good job. Okay, at first when you're talking about the whole no labels and you're like, and he was sexting other women, I was like, tricky situation. But then he damned himself by agreeing to exclusivity. Yep, he cheated. And you're so lucky for having a PS5. I had a PS5 pre-order, but I'm an idiot, and I'm not going to tell you what happened unless I already told you guys. I don't know. I don't remember what I say in these things, man. I'm 99% sure I've leaked my social security number in one of these videos. I'm kidding. Unless I accidentally did. Oh no. Alright, this story's called Pick a Fight So You Can Cheat. Enjoy looking for a new place to live. Not sure if this is petty or pro, but here we go. Sorry, I wanted it to rhyme better. I saw a post on another sub that reminded me of something that happened years ago and how I dealt with it. Back in the time before cell phones, I dated this girl. We'll call her Heather. After about 6 months of dating, she asked if she could move in with me. She was having issues with her parents and they were kicking her out, and her brother's wife didn't want her living with them for some unknown reason. Red flag! Things seemed to be going well for us, so I said sure, why not? For a while, things were great. After about a year of living together, I was having thoughts of marriage. I hadn't proposed yet, but it was on my mind. Then things started to change. We started arguing. She would start a fight, and after a certain point in the argument, she would get pissed and leave. She'd tell me that she was going to her brother Steve's house. She'd come back the next day, and things would be smooth again for a while. The third time she did this, I was a little more pissed than usual, and went to the bar we frequented fairly regularly for a drink. I belly up to the bar, and guess who I bumped into? Steve. He acted a little standoffish, but that was his usual treatment towards me, so I thought nothing of it. He leaves the bar, and I turn around to ask him about Heather, but I didn't get past, "Hey, Steve," before I saw her across the way. She was sitting cowboy on some guy's lap with her tongue halfway down his throat. I have to admit, I saw red. Dave, the bartender, saw the look on my face and was like, "Man, I figured you'd be over her by now. She's been seeing that guy for months. We're living together." I told him, to which his only reply was, "Ouch, sorry, man," before tending to another patron. There were several things I wanted to do, but I thought better of it. I waved bye to Dave, left my drink on the counter, and headed home. On my way home, I swung by Scotty's, a local hardware store akin to Home Depot or Lowe's. They were closing shop, but I told them I'd only be a minute. The kind lady told me to make it quick, and I was back on the road in less than 10 minutes. Pulling up to the house, I half expected Heather to be there and prepared myself for the drama, but nope. I pulled my bike into the garage and got to work. I installed the new door locks and began packing her things in trash bags. I placed the bags in a nice neat row along the porch, all the while expecting to hear Heather coming up the drive, but nope. Spent a little time writing a note to place on the door and went to bed. The next morning, I wake up and the bags are still there, and the note is still taped to the door. I figured old Steve hadn't said anything to his sister about seeing me at the bar and that she'd be home anytime now, thinking nothing was amiss. Around noon, my assumptions are proven correct when I hear her at the door. "What the frick is this?" And she starts screaming at me to open the door. I opened the door, said, "Read the note," and shut the door as she was asking, "What notes?" There was some crying and pleading, but I was done. I had nothing more to say to her, and I surely didn't want to hear anything she had to say. When it got quiet, I pulled the curtain aside to see her stuffing the garbage bags into her car. The note? Bumped into Steve at the bar. "Hope you had fun with that guy last night. We're done. Good luck finding a new place to live." Yow! You know what? This is by far the best reaction to cheating I've seen. Obviously, you shouldn't do it. It's a messed up thing to do. And you probably think, oh shoot, she probably deserves to be like locked in like a freaking, I don't know, a container of a sorts and covered with a bait of something that would, I don't know, make her feel uncomfortable, something like that, you know. Not too graphic. But the best thing you can do is not let them know how much they hurt you, really. I mean, obviously you can. You can express that through words or through a note even. But, you know, don't let them make you do something bad, you know. Rise above their pettiness and be a badass, which is what this guy did. This story's called, "I Threw My Father's Hurtful Words Back at Him and My Brother." Throwaway account. I, 24 male, have never been like the other men in my family. I'm introverted, artistic, and would rather cosplay than play sports. At age 14, my great-grandmother moved in with us, and she taught me how to crochet. I loved it, but my brothers, Jim, 27 male, and Tim, 27 male, used to tease me about it constantly for it when she wasn't around. And whenever I would complain, my dad told me that life's full of people that are gonna call me names and that I need to toughen up. I honestly think he was just disappointed that I wasn't an extroverted jock like him and his other sons. Felt like he could just pressure me into becoming more like him. When my great-grandmother died, she didn't have much, but she specifically left me her crochet hooks, and I was very touched. She also left my cousin unfinished baby socks that she was crocheting for my cousin's baby, and I could tell my cousin was disappointed. We kind of had this tradition of our great-grandmother making things for the coming babies. I offered to finish what our great-grandmother started using her needles, and my cousin was thrilled at the gesture. After that, I kinda inherited the position of crocheting things for any new babies in the family, and I rather enjoyed it because I felt as if I was carrying on a legacy. Although it did nothing to stop my immediate family from making jokes and calling me names, despite the constant attacks against my sexuality. Jim, ironically, came out as gay and has since apologized for his past treatment of me, so we're on good terms, but Tim is still a jerk to me. When I went to college, I went low contact with Tim and my father and would just tolerate them at family events. Last week, Tim announced that he and his girlfriend, Tina, 24 female, were engaged and expecting their first child over social media, and everyone was thrilled. During a Zoom meeting with the family, Tina said she would love a matching blanket, little hat, and shoes for the baby from me, and I asked her to send me a copy of her registry for baby clothes. Tim laughed and said everyone knows that it's tradition that I make the items. I told him flat out that he doesn't get to make fun of my skills as a crocheter and then expect free labor from me. My dad said that I was being rude and needed to apologize. I countered that if Tim was hurt by my refusal to crochet for him, then he should just toughen up and get over it, and then left the call. Since then, I've been getting text messages from my parents and Tim saying that I'm being petty and a jerk to Tina and the baby, but I haven't responded. The Aldmeri Dominion is trying to undo all of creation. That's right, guys. All of the towers of the divines. They're going to destroy the stones and undo all of creation. They're going to remove Mundus from existence and return to Aetherius. That's the Elder Scrolls truth for you. Alright, this story's called Teacher Wants to Be a Bully? Good Luck. When I was about 9 years old, I had a teacher who was a bully. He would ridicule people for getting answers right too often, screaming at them when they got them wrong. He was a real piece of work, but also made a lot of mistakes when teaching. I really hated this guy because he was just a thoroughly unpleasant and angry man. He hated me because I was, admittedly, a complete know-it-all, and I took every opportunity to call his mistakes out. He really hated that. He always wanted us to read books during registration. I was very bad at remembering to bring books to school. I got in trouble for this more than once. He threatened that if I didn't bring a book, he'd give me a dictionary to read. So the next day I walked in and got the dictionary off the shelf and cracked on. Then proceeded to correct his spelling. He often yelled at me and insisted he was right, so I just pulled out my trusty dictionary and showed him the entry. I continued reading the dictionary every day that he was my teacher. I was a stubborn child and I have no regrets. I admire your defiance. And now I must sleep. But now you're confused because I'm about to read, 2 more stories after this one? But I didn't record them in order. This story's called Take All My Change. I'm tired. Okay, this is super petty and may piss off some taxi drivers if you are UK based. Ha! I don't know why that was a ha, but I just snapped one night. This was last year and was going from my house to my friend's house. I had hurt my knee, and although I normally walk it, 20-minute walk, 5 minutes in a cab, I couldn't, so I called a private hire taxi. Normally in a taxi to my friends, it's only around 3 pounds, and I had a 10-pound note on me to pay. Please keep in mind, one of the rules of this private hired taxi is they must always keep change, or a loose change cash float. Within a space of a month, I had 4 taxi drivers make me get out to go into a shop to get money due to them not having change. It adds more onto the journey and is just a ball ache. So I got in, told my destination, and just had a nice little chat. Told me it was his first job of the day. Reached my friend's house. He told me the fare cost $3.20. I handed over the money, then he turned to me and stared at it.
Do you have any less?
No, sorry. That's all I have on me.
Well, I have no change.
Now there's an awkward silence.
I'll take you to a shop and get change,
I said. I can call my friend now and see if she'll come out with change. He insisted no, drove me to the nearest shop, told me to get out, go in the shop and get change. So with my knee injury, I hobbled out as he watched me limp to the shop. I was seething as he sat there, basically another taxi driver making me get his change for the day as he had not bothered to bring out any with him. Walk up to the counter with my 10-pound note and said to the lady behind the counter, "Hi, can you change this 10-pound into change if that's okay with you? But if it's possible, can you change 4 pounds of it into 5 pence, please?" The lady stared at me but happily passed me bags of 5 pence change and 2 2-pence bags of money equivalent to 4 pounds and the 6 pounds in 1-pound coins. I thanked her, hobbled back in the taxi, and he dropped me off at my friend's. Look of pure anger on his face was worth it when I sat and counted out the money he was owed for the fare in 5 pence. Hey mate, you asked for change. I got you change, even if it's small change, it's change. Completely petty, completely worth it. Do I need to get a life? Of course. Don't we all need to get a life? I know I do. Beyond just being ridiculously good at pretending to know how to read. I'm gonna stick with that joke. That's gonna be a long-running joke on this channel. Haha! The Reddit channel host that doesn't know how to read. He's just really good at faking it. Who knows? One day I might take it super far. Just go super deep in the joke. See how many of you pick up on it. Probably a lot of you, hopefully. That's the goal. I could be the next Markiplier with the in-channel lore. But of course, that's just a theory. A tooth theory. That's copyrighted, guys. I can't do it exactly. This story's called, "Oh, you like a certain drink mix flavor? How about I make sure that you don't get any of them?" At my work, we have vending machines for things like gloves, safety glasses, and many other things, all tied into our employee number. I also have a coworker who just loves pushing everyone's buttons, as it is like finding the squeakiest chair and rocking back and forth all day just to see who he irritates. He also leaves his dirty dishes wherever and has been known to ignore washing some of them to the point where some people have had to put them in his locker just to make sure that he washes them. The other day, he was telling our other coworkers that his favorite flavor of drink mix powder was X, that the machines were always sold out of them. So I decided to go check out and see for myself. There are about 13 to 15 of them left in the machine in one of the main buildings on site. So I punched in my number and ended up emptying it out. I then turned around and started giving them away to other people around my work and even explained to them what I'd done, knowing that they wouldn't bother telling the guy who was the reason for me doing it, because they all hated him too. And he'll never know that it was me who did it. I'm not being greedy. I just don't want him to have any. Genius. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.